So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us
Hello.
today. Good morning.
Yes.
Hello. It's obviously nighttime, so it doesn't really
Pick
matter.
a time. It can be that time. So,
Greetings. Hello.
from Grand Rapids.
Yes. All right. So this is actually a special episode
It
that we're
is.
doing today.
It's a very
So it's
special
not
one.
necessarily like sequential or anyways, but yeah, we're gonna do something different
We are.
and talk about
We are.
things.
We're going to talk about this. There is this woman that I know that is unbelievable. She is so powerful. She is so capable. She is so strong. She is so brave. She is so loving. And she just awes me. I kind of adore her greatly. And I'm thankful to know her and to be sitting next to her.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, a couple weeks ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I want to tell the whole story because I think it's really important. I think that the awareness of it, how I found it, what the process is, I just want to be able to help other people,
Yeah.
because I don't want other people to have to go through this. And if they do, I want to be able to support them through it. So,
This is why I love you,
Yeah.
by the way.
thank you.
You're blessing other people.
I always feel like if I have to go through something that I'm not choosing to go through, I need to make it worth it.
Yes.
There needs to be a
Yes.
purpose and a reason behind it. So, I've told this to many people over the past couple weeks, but I have been being prepared for the entire past year, quite literally
Yes.
since last November,
Yeah.
to handle what is happening with me right now.
Yeah.
And had I got this news and this diagnosis in 2022, it would have taken me. Mm-hmm. I would not still be here because my negativity would have wrapped around it. I would have sunk into a very, very deep depression that
It
I was
would have-
already in.
yeah.
And my entire outlook on it would have just been devastation. And I couldn't figure out at the time, and I was very vocal about it, I was very vocal about it all year. Like,
Yes.
why am I going through this right now?
Why?
Why am I being taught this lesson right now? And like literally I would cry up to God and be like, why are you teaching me
Why?
this? Why am I going through
One
this?
after the
What
other.
is, and I was angry and questioning and just none
Yeah.
of it made sense at all.
Yeah.
But I kept going through it and I kept getting through it and I kept getting through it.
And you kept getting back up when you got knocked down.
I did.
It was a glorious thing to watch you go
Yeah.
through this journey that you were on.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. But now, all of those lessons, every single one, crystal clear.
Yeah.
Crystal clear why I had to go through those things in order to get to where I'm at. And so we'll back up a little bit. I discovered a lump. My husband discovered the lump. He likes to take the credit for that. Earlier this year, I would say anywhere between like May and June, he had just
Okay.
said something about it. And I was
Okay.
like, oh yeah, it's fine. So the reason that I thought it was fine is because I have a
Yes.
history with cysts.
Right.
So ever since I think my youngest one was when I was like 23.
Okay.
Right? And
so it's been sent for that long.
Years and
okay.
years. I had cysts on my ovaries. I have had cysts in my
Okay.
breasts. Like that's something
It's part
I
of life for you.
deal with, right? So
Right.
some of them I've had drained. Other ones just go away on their own. So when it was found, I was like, oh, okay, I have another cyst.
Sure. That
No big
makes
deal,
sense.
right? So I'm not even going to do anything about it. And then like it kept like it was hard to feel at first. And so
Got
then I
it.
was like, oh, I think it's going away, you
Sure.
know? So I'm like, it must be getting smaller. It's fine.
Yep.
Again, life got insanely busy through July, August, September, October. And so didn't go see the doctor.
Right.
It was still there.
It wasn't a concern or a
was
heaviness
not a
on your
concern.
mind because of your history.
Because of my history, I thought, oh, it's a cyst, no big deal.
Right.
This is fine. And then after Art Prize, Aaron and I were driving home from one of our jobs, and he goes, okay, that's enough. He's like, you have got to call the doctor. And I was like, oh, fine. And he goes, well, like now. Like we're
Yeah.
sitting in traffic. He's like, call the doctor. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So I called the doctor, and they were like, oh yeah, we're going to get you right in.
Okay.
You know? And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
right,
So I went
yeah,
to see
great.
my OB. again, I didn't bring anybody with me to that appointment because I was just like,
You're just assuming
whatever,
that's
you
going to
know?
be like every other time.
Exactly. So when I saw my OB, she came in and did an exam, and she says, "Now I'm not alarmed by the lump because it could just be a cyst like you've
Sure.
had before." She says, "But your nipple is starting to be inverted. So instead of being flat, the one side was being like sucked in."
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And she says that is
That's a
the part that
sign.
concerns me. And so I said, "Okay," but again, it wasn't enough to be like, "I think you have breast
Oh,
cancer."
for
It was
sure.
just, "I'm going to send you to a specialist."
Just
and I
kind
was like,
of
okay.
a
Yep.
little different than
Little
before,
different.
but that's
Yeah.
all right.
So again, didn't think anything of it. Life was so busy. I was working 7 days a week. And so I really didn't have time to like sit and think about it. I was like,
I think
okay,
that was
I know
a little
I have
bit of
this.
a blessing for
I
you.
think so. Yeah, in so many ways. And then when I went to see the specialist, again, I'm thinking this is an initial appointment. She's
For
going to send
sure.
me for testing and for, all of the ultrasound
The
and all those
same
things,
gamut.
right? Like,
Yep.
so I didn't bring anybody with me. And it was a 2-hour appointment.
Yeah.
And she did a full exam and ultrasound and everything.
Yes.
At the end of it, she looked me in the face and she said, "You have breast cancer." And I just remember staring at the cherry blossoms that were on the poster. And I had no emotion reaction to it
You weren't prepared for that.
because I think for 2 reasons. Number one, I was shocked.
For sure.
And number 2, I'm like, I drove myself here. I have to get home.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I lose it now, I'm
Yeah.
never going to be able to drive home.
right.
So I listened to everything that she said, and she laid it all out for me. This is what I think it is.
Okay.
I don't know for sure. You have breast cancer. I don't know what kind it is,
Got
is
it.
what she said.
Yep.
She said she had shown me the picture of my ultrasound that
Okay.
had the cyst in it.
Got it.
Perfect circle. The cyst
Okay.
on the ultrasound was a perfect
Sure.
circle, smooth edges all the way around it. And then she
yes.
showed me the ultrasound of
very
what I
different.
have. Now, the crazy thing was when you feel it, it's like this big, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on the ultrasound, it's about
Looks
this
that big.
right? So because I have very dense breast tissue,
Right.
she said that a regular mammogram would not have caught this.
Isn't that just remarkable?
It's wild, because she said it hides. And so like even with her, with all of her ultrasound, she could only see
Right.
that much of it.
Now, this was this the same doctor that I had
Yeah.
met? She's
Yeah.
amazing.
She's incredible.
She's amazing.
She's such a blessing.
Yep.
So she walked me through and said, we're going to do a biopsy. We're going to
Yeah.
find out what kind it is. You're probably looking at either a lumpectomy or a mastectomy. Then you're looking at radiation, and so I kind of was hearing these words and I was like, all right.
Okay.
And then one of the coolest things happened. We get done with it and she says, "Oh, what kind of insurance do you have?" And I told her and she's like, "I don't take that insurance. I don't even know how you're here." And I was like, "Oh,
What does that
thinking
mean?
she's going to shuffle me off to somebody else." And
I
she
can't
says,
imagine in that moment you're going,
"Oh,
are
I was
you kidding
too. I was
me?
like, "Oh, okay, sorry." Like that's what I felt was like, "Sorry." And she goes,
man.
No. I don't make it a habit of taking this insurance. I'm going to take this insurance. She's like, "It's not that I can't. It's just that I don't, And I was like, oh, thank you. Because I already felt bonded to her. I already
For
felt close to her. I
sure.
spent 2 hours
Understandable.
with her,
She's wonderful.
She's amazing. She's so thorough. She's just incredible.
She cares about the person.
She does.
And I noticed that right away. It wasn't, I'm a medical doctor and I love the sciencey
Oh, yeah.
medicine stuff. She cares
yeah,
about the person.
very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I get in my car and I have to drive home. Well, I'm like, okay, don't lose it. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. So what do I put on? Our podcast.
Yes.
I listened to us on the way home.
Yay.
And it was great because it was what I needed. It distracted me enough. And I pulled in the driveway and I had all my stuff in my arms and Aaron was at the door when I got home. And I made it maybe a foot into the door and dropped all my stuff on the floor. And I couldn't even get the words out.
I couldn't imagine.
I just fell into his arms and burst into tears. And
Yeah.
then I said, it's cancer. Yeah. And that was really hard telling him
I can't even
that it was,
imagine. I know how your husband feels about you.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine in that moment for both of you what everything you're feeling and everything that I can imagine your husband was feeling at that time. Your husband's this protector, nurturer.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to take care of stuff. And then something gets thrown into your family that isn't something that anybody in the family can fix, make better, or make it go away. It's just we're here with you.
Right. Yeah.
I can't imagine. I wish that wasn't part of it, but I'm thankful for the people you have around you, like your
I
husband.
have been surrounded by love through all of this. It's unbelievable. Well, in that moment, I realize Logan's going to be home from work in moments. And
yeah.
Addison has to be picked up from school in moments, right?
Like real life stuff just keeps going.
Like I can't tell one kid without the other kid. And so I had to suck it all back in and put a smile on my face and pretend like nothing was wrong.
That's what happens
Until
with
I
these
knew
things.
that all three kids were home
Right.
and I could tell them all together,
Yeah.
right? And I was so antsy. But I didn't let it, we were
Right.
joking and laughing and like just, I was thinking of anything that I could to just make it light.
Yeah.
And as soon as Alex got home from work, I think he was home I gave him a moment to like be home and kind of
To
be
regroup
settled
for a second.
and, things like that. And I even think maybe he took a shower. I can't remember if he did or not, but it was probably
Right.
a half an hour or
just
so after he got
timing
home.
it and making it the
Yep.
right time.
And then I said, hey, I need all you guys to come in the other room real quick,
Yeah.
Now, we've done like family meetings before, or whatever,
Sure.
but like they kind of were like, okay, it was
Just kind of
almost
a,
like, all right, And I said, I have no idea how to tell you these. I don't know how to tell you. I said, I don't know how to tell you, so I'm just going to say it. And then I had to look at my kids and tell them that I had breast cancer.
Yeah. Deep breath, mama.
I think that was the hardest thing so far,
I
was
can't even imagine.
looking them in the faces and telling them that and knowing that their worlds will never be the same, like from that moment. And it wasn't about me at that moment. It was about them and just seeing their faces. And Alex was like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like, I'm not, I would never kid about this.
Yeah.
And Addison was just stone-faced, and Logan was just kind of staring at the ground and then looked up at me, and it was just, and I was telling them just that I don't know anything yet,
Yeah.
but I do definitely know that,
Yep.
that I have breast cancer. And yeah, we just kind of cried together and talked about it, and we spent just some good family time, and then we kind of all departed, and then I was able to spend time with like each one of them, And
Good.
Addison didn't say a word until later. And then she came upstairs and we were just talking,
Yeah.
separately and
Yes.
quietly, and she's like, I'm so sorry that you have to go through this. And I'm like, I'm so sorry that you have to go through this. Like it was, she's only 14,
Yeah.
and so that was hard. And then I had to call my parents. And my parents and my kids were the only ones that I told. And then I had this apparently it's a very normal reaction, but I thought it was very strange for me because
Okay.
I live my life on camera and I tell my
Sure.
story about everything.
Yes.
I didn't want to tell anybody. I was like, no, because I pictured myself having to say the words, I have cancer 1,000
and
times.
over and
Over and
over
over and over. And I'm like, I
over again.
can't do this. I hadn't processed it
For
myself
sure.
yet.
It's so new to you, and
And so I couldn't. I said to my family, I said, you guys can tell people. I'm like, I can't.
Right.
I can't be the one that
I don't
does it,
wanna say it.
I just can't. And so I didn't. And then I had to go about life
yeah,
like nothing was going on. I had to go to work and I had to, just like
Hey.
put big smiles on my faces. And then I knew that I was going to do a Facebook post about it, but I also
Yes.
knew that like my family members needed to know first and Aaron's family members needed to know first. And so my dad was gracious enough to send around an email to, all of them.
Yes.
And Aaron talked to his whole family. And once all of that had transpired, I woke up one morning, I think it was a Thursday, at like 5:30 in the morning. And I was like, I have to post about
It's
it right
time.
now. It's time. I have to say it.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly what words to say. And at this point, I hadn't even gone for my biopsy yet.
Yep.
Or maybe I did go for the biopsy, but I didn't have the results. That's what
I
it
think
was.
it was in between the two.
It was in between. So I'd had the biopsy, but I didn't get the results. And so I didn't know the extent of what
Right.
it was, but I said, I'm getting the results on Tuesday, Anyways. So the biopsy sucked. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It was not a pleasant experience. It hurt a lot afterwards. It didn't hurt during. They numbed me. I still have bruising from it. And this was like 2 weeks ago. And
Yeah.
it's still like, it is bruised from here to here. I mean, it
Yep.
is just jet black. And so, yeah, I did the biopsy. And again, like, all right, And then she said, you'll find out in a week from then.
Yes.
Well, when we were in Chicago visiting family, I got a phone call. And it was,
Did you see who it was from?
I didn't know the number because I didn't have
Okay.
it saved in my phone yet. But I was like, well, with all this going on, I have to answer the phone. Plus, with our business, I always have to
Sure,
answer the
you
phone
never know.
anyways, So I answered the phone and heard that it was my doctor. And I was like, all right, I'll take this in the other room. And that was when she told me that I have 2 different kinds of cancer. One of them is not aggressive, and the other one is very aggressive.
Yeah.
And then she said words that all kind of floated together. And I heard things like mastectomy and chemo and radiation and then reconstruction. And that was a lot to
It's
take in.
life-changing.
We're right in the middle of like eating breakfast with his cousin. And all of a sudden I was like, this is bigger than what I had originally thought.
You
I thought,
you were
just
prepared for the
take the
other and
lump
kind of
out and
settled
do the
and-
radiation. But when I heard the word chemo, my stomach hit the ground because that means losing my hair. And I don't want to.
I know.
I have been a
know.
redhead my entire life. And that's such a big part of who I am. I mean, I tell people I'm a sassy redhead from New York, like all the time. My nickname was Red growing up. I looked like little orphan Annie. Like that has been such a big part of me. It's not just hair to me. It's like that's
It's
so much
part of your identity.
It is.
Yep.
And so it was just, I can deal with the mastectomy. I can deal with all of that. But the hair to me was like, no, don't take that.
Yeah.
Don't take that. I don't want you to take that.
I know.
And so
know.
I put on a stoic face and walked out. And, Aaron's like, is everything okay? I go, I'm not going to talk about it right now.
Yeah.
And all of my years of like pastor's child church,
Yeah.
putting the mask on was like, I made it about 10 minutes and he looked at me and knew that it was like we needed to go.
Yeah.
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 And so I was doing fine. We were saying our goodbyes and his cousin was like, are you guys going to make it out for Thanksgiving? And that was when I was like, no. I'm having surgery on the 16th. So no. And made it through enough of the explanation, didn't completely lose it until we got in the car. And I cried harder than I've cried yet. And I was just mourning the loss of part of my womanhood.
Yeah.
And part of my, losing my hair and then having to go through so much more than I thought I was going to have to go through. And then all of a sudden I'm like, that's in less than 2 weeks. Like it was just this.
It's not like you have the luxury of time to
Yeah.
prepare
Like
for this.
I haven't had time to hardly process one step to the next because it was like, oh, and then you have cancer and then, okay, you're going to do a biopsy and then you're going to have surgery and then you're going to start chemo. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it has been a lot to process. So, yeah. And then Tuesday came and I had my beautiful support team, so many that I felt like we needed to go into like a conference room or something, but
It was a beautiful thing to see.
it was so wonderful to have all of you guys there and just be so surrounded by, I mean, she told me to bring my army and I brought my army. I was like, here they are, these are all my warriors.
Thankful and honored to be invited into that space. I don't know how to even explain to you what an honor it is for me and how much I appreciated being able to hear her talk about this and read through all of that stuff, because I'm like, just give it to me so I know what my friend is facing.
Right.
I want to know all of it.
Right.
Give me all of it so I know. And as she's talking, I'm like, I've worked in the medical field. It just is. And I was understanding. And I was like, okay, the battle has changed a bit from what we
Right.
initially thought. But Sarah's got this. She's not going to do it alone.
And that is something I have known the entire time. Number one, I have zero fear.
Good.
There is no, it's weird. It is so weird. I don't have any fear of dying at all. Not just because I know where I'm going if I die, but
For
like
sure.
I do not even have that thought as
Right.
part of my brain.
That's not the end of this.
That's not what my
There's-
journey is. And I knew that. As soon as I heard the word breast cancer, I was like,
Oh,
well, I'm
okay.
going to beat it because
Yeah.
God's not done with me yet. Like I can't.
You've just started
I
this
just
chapter.
started, you know? And so I know that. I
Yes.
just have no question.
That's your foundation right there.
It
for
is.
this.
It has been my rock through this whole thing of just like, okay, I'm going to have to go through all of this, but I know that I'm going to beat it.
You
I
are.
know that I am.
Yes, you
You
are.
know? And my doctor has been amazing.
She's a beautiful person.
She's just in, like, she even said, she's like, this isn't going to take you. You know, she's like, no.
No.
You caught this early enough. This is, you know.
Yep.
And so the other thing that was like a direct hit to the gut was when she explained the timeline.
Yeah.
And I started
I
adding
saw
up
that.
the months.
I saw it on your face that
And
you
I
weren't
was like,
prepared.
Holy shit, that is a year and a half
Yep.
minimum. And that was, I'm still processing that part of it.
Yeah.
Because to me, I was like, oh yeah, like we'll just go like get the surgery done really quick and like
And-
just like get all this out of me, hit it with some radiation, give me a new boob, we're all good, right? That's what my
Yes,
brain was
sure.
thinking.
Yeah.
And then she was like, no, this is, you're going to have 5 months of chemo
Yeah.
and then you're going to have radiation. And then 6 months after that, we'll see if you're a candidate. And I'm like,
Right. What?
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, that was the other part that was so hard
That's
to
a hard
just
thing.
kind of like, so I was working 7 days a week for the past couple months. Aaron and I both have been.
Yeah.
We have been
Working
so I'm
like crazy
running
people.
like 1,000 miles an hour. And in one moment, literally hit the brakes so hard that I almost flew over the handlebars. Like that has so many times, I just wanted to sit and rest so many times that
Yeah.
I was so tired and I was just like, oh, I just need a day off. This is not what
Not
I meant.
what you had in mind.
This is not what I meant. I did
know.
not mean that. But it has brought me to my knees. Thank you to everybody that has come around me. I have never felt so loved.
You are
Ever.
loved, girl.
I mean,
you
ever.
are
Like
loved.
I have been completely overwhelmed. My friend started a GoFundMe for us, and it is almost filled in like 4 days. And people, I don't even know some of these people. I don't know them. And they have donated towards it. And I have been getting gifts in the mail all weekend.
Yep.
Like, again, from people I don't even know. And then the crazy thing, like, my cousin randomly texted me. She lives almost in Indiana. And she texted me. I'd never see her on Sunday morning. And she was like 8:30 in the morning on Sunday morning. She's like, hey, I randomly stayed in Grand Rapids last night. And I want to come and fit you for these. They're called Ruby Ribbon. And they're not bras, but they're like
Yes.
camis. Anyways, they're
Yes.
no bras, which is amazing. And she's like, can I stop by and measure for you? Because my mom and I want to gift you some of these. And I'm like, oh my
Beautiful.
gosh. And I knew like God was trying to give me another gift through that.
Yes.
Here's the crazy thing. She was like, I probably don't have any that are your size, but I have some that you can try on.
Yes.
Well, I've lost weight to the point where I fit all the ones that she brought. So she measures me and she's like, I can't believe like you're 36. Like I've been a
Yeah.
38 for a long
Okay.
time. And she's like, you're 36. She's like, that's what I have. Like that's what I have with me, you know? And so she left 3 of them for me. And then her and my aunt are purchasing me more.
That's beautiful.
But it's so, you know, I'm thinking like after I have the surgery, I'm like, they don't make one-sided bras. You know, I'm like, what in the world am I going to wear? Because I'm like, I've got like
It's a whole new
gyno boob
world.
on one side and like nothing on the
I
other
know
side.
you're still going to have more than me.
Well,
I mean,
like, oh my gosh, right? They're not small. And so I was really pondering that question.
Yeah.
Like, do I shove a sock on the other side? Like,
I can
don't
only
know,
imagine.
right?
I mean, this is nothing that. Why would you know that?
Yeah,
I mean,
it
it's
was
not,
just, it was like a behind the scenes question
Sure.
that I just didn't have an answer to. So I was like, we'll just cross
We'll
that bridge
figure
when
it
we
out.
come to it, right?
Yep.
Well, these are not, they're camis. And so they're stretchy.
Yes.
And so the one will support this side where the other side will now just sink into where it is.
Yes.
And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, you know? And then I learned that, you know, bras aren't good for you anyways, and it blocks your lymph nodes and all
does,
these
yes.
things. And oh my gosh, it was a beautiful couple hours that we spent with her on Sunday morning. And
so glad
I
to
was
hear
like,
that.
like God is literally taking care of every need as they come up, before they come up. I mean, we had a church that got a hold of us and asked us how they could help us. Yes. And like, they're like, we don't donate to like the GoFundMe, but do you have a specific thing that you need? And I was like, well, our car doesn't work. So maybe they could help us with the one car that we have that's sort of working, you know? But people have been so thoughtful. And I don't know, somebody said it to me on Sunday that everything that Aaron and I have poured out
Yep.
all these years to the world around us, we are now receiving.
Yeah.
We are opening our hands and we are receiving.
Allow us to take care of
And
you.
that's weird. It's weird, and it was uncomfortable at first because I was like, no, we you know, and I'm like,
You're
no.
fiercely independent.
I am fiercely independent, you know? And so it was just kind of like, and now every gift, I mean, like my neighbor brought me over a blanket today and I'm reading the blanket and I'm just like weeping, you know? And I just, prayer journals and sketch pads, and like somebody even sent me some lotion that gets rid of scars naturally. And I mean,
Yeah.
So the beauty of all of this is, it's unbelievable.
I have a dear friend who has her own breast cancer story. Not the one that I had mentioned was the most recent.
Right.
Another one. And I was just sharing with her about you and just the heaviness on my heart, because it's like, I love Sarah and I don't want this for her, but this is real. I can't make it go away by wishing it wasn't. So I was just asking her, just, you know, as I go through, if there's any tips or hints or things like that. She goes, if she ever wants to, she goes, I would love to sit and talk with her. I would love to talk with her through the things. She also had to wait for reconstruction. She goes, I can show her exactly. She goes, I don't show many people at all, but she goes, anything she needs,
that
anything
would be
she wants.
amazing.
And she would be a beautiful person if you ever wanted to, whatever. She is just love and kindness and caring. But there was no hesitation, none at all. She goes, I would love to be there for her in any way. I mean, it's just, people want to love you and lift you up and hold you and be there. And we can't make it go away, but we're not letting you go through this by yourself. Your family's not going to be by themselves. Nobody is. You've got such a circle so deep around you. Just
The other thing that a couple things.
yes.
So my journey that I dealt with through Art Prize and had talked so deeply about the anxiety, the depression, all of that, right? Well, I haven't been taking anything for it
Okay.
in months. I mean, in months, right? And that was even an ironic story in itself. Like the thing that I was taking was no longer available. And
Right.
so I was like, okay, well, I have to figure out how to do this without
Sure.
that, right?
Right.
And so I did. And so over the past couple months, I have had moments where I've started to kind of go into that despair.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden I say to myself, no, No. So I did that the other day.
Yes.
And I was crying about, I think it was the intimacy, like with my husband. And I was like, the whole thing is going to be different, you know? And I was like, and even when I have reconstruction, I'm not going to have feeling there. And I'm like, I was so angry about that, like just angry and crying. And so I just was expressing all of that. And then I started to go down the rabbit hole, and I was like,
sure.
life has already been so hard this year, and life is so hard. We've already had to deal with all these things. And I was like, why? And right in the middle of the word, I go, no,
Yeah.
I will not go down that rabbit hole.
No.
I will not allow myself to go into despair. I will not allow myself to have the negative thoughts. I feel my emotions when I feel them. I told you that
Yes.
today.
And
I was
that's
having
important.
an emotional day this morning, and I
Yes.
felt the feelings, right?
Yes.
But I do not allow myself to stay in those feelings, because that's not going to help anybody. If I'm
Right.
just sitting around weeping all the time, who does that help?
Nobody.
Especially not me, because the kind of cancer I have is very driven by stress and all of that. And
Yes.
so I'm not going to feed it.
The mind is
Yes.
a powerful weapon
It's
in this
such a
fight.
powerful weapon. And so I am just a beacon of positivity right now. And I'm trying to focus on everything bright and beautiful and happy and, celebrate what I have.
Yes.
I did a boudoir session and celebrated and said goodbye to.
Yes.
And I think that's important. I think that's so important to have closure and to say goodbye to this body, to these
Yeah.
boobs that have fed my children. They
Yes.
nourished my children. They
Yes.
have been a source of pleasure for my husband. They have been I feel good when you know what I mean? Like they're my
know.
girls.
Yes.
And so I have
Yes.
said my goodbyes to that. And I'm like, okay, now we're just gonna get rid of the old,
Yes.
get rid of the cancer, get rid of the junk.
Yes.
And then I get to be a 50-year-old with like
Perfect.
perky little boobs, and I'm so excited. I'm gonna be 90 walking around like, check
Looking,
me out, no
I
bra. I know. So I'm focusing on that stuff rather
Yes.
than
Yes. The process from here to there is going to be a hard process.
it is.
And there's just no getting around that. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But that's you choosing life. That's you saying, yeah, cancer, you're not welcome to stay here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're going to have the signs of the fight. You know, they're going to be your battle wounds.
Yeah.
But that's you winning. That's you saying, cancer, you're not staying here. You want to take my hair? Well, guess what? It's coming back. I'm getting rid of these. They have served me well. They have done a beautiful job. I have been so thankful for this part of my journey. But they hold cancer. And it's
do.
time for them to go
Right.
and bring in a new chapter.
Right.
It's hard. I can only imagine how hard. Only
And I don't even know the full extent
imagine.
of it yet, because I can't process that enough. Like right now, I'm focused on the surgery.
Right.
What do I have to do before the surgery? Am I
Yes.
set up for after the surgery? Do I have what I need? Right. But that's it. I can only think through Thursday,
I think that's wise, though.
because I can't.
Why do you think ahead
process
to what hasn't happened?
all- I
It's not
can't
there yet.
even- It's too much. So
Yes.
people are asking me all these things about the chemo. I'm like, that's step 2. I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah, you're not there.
I'm like,
no,
that's
you're
you
right
know.
here. Don't
but
go
I
there
decorated
yet.
for
So,
Christmas.
Good.
So I'm doing things my way. This is
I
how
love
I'm
it.
seeing it, right?
Tell me.
Like, I'm not trying to go, I have cancer, so I'm going to do it this way, right?
Yes.
I know that I am going to have a really crappy time over the next year and a half. And so I am putting things in place to bring me joy.
I love it.
I love Christmas time. I love Christmas lights. I love Christmas trees. I love it. And usually I have to be restrained enough to not decorate for Christmas until after Thanksgiving. And
heck
so
no.
this year, I knew when I was in Chicago and I got that phone call, I made a list. These are
love
the things that I want, need, and will do
Yes.
prior to my surgery.
Good.
And so I got home and we set up the Christmas tree.
I
and I
am
didn't
so
fully
glad.
decorate for Christmas, but I got the Christmas tree up and we got the lights on it because it's in the room where I'm going to be doing my recuperation, right,
I
from the
love it.
surgery. And so I
Good.
knew that sparkly, twinkly white Christmas lights will make me
It's
happy.
like spots of joy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something of, I know what you mean. It's just that feeling of seeing that lit up. tree.
Yeah.
I'm so
And it's
glad you did
different
that.
than going, like I said, it's different than going, well, I have cancer, so I'm going to do this. That's not
sure.
what it is. It's saying, I know myself. I know what I need. I'm going to put that into practice.
You mean self-care?
That is self-care.
It is.
It is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. So, my whole reason for doing this episode is that I will be documenting this whole journey, and I'm going to be bringing people along the
Proud of you.
whole way.
So
And
proud of you.
I don't know how not to do that.
Yeah.
And it was very funny because I think it was Alex that was like, you already have such a platform. Like you were designed for this
Yes.
to share in this moment. Did I think this is where I was going with it? Never
No.
in a million years. There's nothing that could have predicted that, right? But I'm okay with it.
I love the fact that even in this season and in this portion of your journey, you are inviting people into your most personal space. I already know that at the end of this, what you're going to create from it is going to be stunningly beautiful. It's going to be powerful. I'm going to tell you that I am scheduling a mammogram. I haven't had one in 8 years.
I'm so excited that you're doing that.
I haven't had one in 8 years. And I have multiple reasons, some of which you may guess at why I didn't feel it was even important to.
Right.
And then I'm like, well, I don't have a chest anyways. It's like, why would I even bother? And my husband, I think it was the first time, he goes, when have you last had one? And I told him, I think it was the first time that he ever looked at me with disappointment. Because he's like, well, when are you going to schedule one? I said, oh, I'm not. And that was my initial reaction. And I'm like, my husband has never looked at me with disappointment. And he goes, I want you here.
Yeah.
And I sat on that. And I couldn't escape the conviction of it. I can't willfully neglect caring for myself. And doing things like mammograms is part of caring for myself.
Right.
And so you've already had an impact on me. You've already changed a mindset in me. I don't have a history. I don't have that. It's my mother's side of the family. But
Right.
there's a lot on her side of the family. There really isn't on my father's, but there's some unknowns. And I'm going to do a better job at doing things that I need to do because it's part of self-care. And I want to say thank you for you unknowingly challenging me on something that I have neglected for 8 years. So thank
I'm
you.
so grateful that you are going. And mammograms suck. Sorry, they do. A lot of being a woman sucks. They squish your boob.
Yeah, what's
flat
the
like a
deal
freaking
with
pancake.
the stuff that we have? I mean, seriously.
I don't know. Oh, and that's the other thing. I get to go into menopause. So yay.
Yay.
So exciting. Yeah.
Get it all done at once.
This is how I feel about it. When I hit 50, I'm gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be.
I'm so excited.
We're gonna party like
Yep.
nothing. And so, I already can't wait for your 50th birthday.
Yep. It's gonna be amazing.
know
I mean,
it
I
is.
haven't even hit 45 yet.
About me, I was just gonna say.
I'm only 44. But no, my goal now is like fabulous by 50, because I'm going to have,
Well, you're
I'm already going to
fabulous
go
now,
through,
so it's gonna be.
I'm going to have a tummy tuck and I'm going to have a breast redone and I'm going to have like new hair and I'm going to have I don't know. I'm already going to have gone through menopause. So I'm going to get all the crap out of the way at the same time.
Just get it all done.
Yeah.
And then
Why
you're
do this
like,
all separately? Let's just do
go.
this all together.
I know,
Yeah.
and you're going to be stepping out into this like menopause. Then
know.
they're done that.
Yep.
Look at me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No more bathing suits at Target where your boob falls through the
dear Lord.
holes.
Oh my gosh. Maybe I'll miss that though. You never know. Oh, yes. Well,
I am always going to tell you, you are not your hair and you are not your boobs. What I love and care about is contained within you. That is all that matters to me. Whatever your outsides look like is going to be stunningly beautiful to me because I know what is contained within And I'm going to be telling you that all the time because I know there's going to be days when you might look in a mirror and you don't see what I'm going to see.
Yeah.
But I'm acknowledging and recognizing the weight of the journey that's in front of you and the hardships that's going to come with it. There's going to be laughter through it. There's going to be tears through it. There's going to be anger through it. There's going to be everything through it. But at the end of it, you're going to look back, and I know you are going to be proud of yourself. You are going to do this with grace, with strength, with beauty, with determination, and some red-headed hellfire from New York.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a glorious thing to witness. It's an utter privilege to be here with you, to take a journey nobody wants to take.
But so many have to go through.
So many do.
You don't even realize
So many.
how many. And it's awful and stupid and dumb that
It
women
is.
have to go through this.
It is.
So,
It absolutely is.
yep.
But
Yep.
you're going to do it, and you're going to show people how you win. So you've already won doing this as far as I'm concerned. I am sitting here just like so crazy proud of you for this. And I think you're going to find that it is healing and therapeutic to you.
Yeah.
And it's going to be for people on the other side watching this that just got that call from their doctor, that just found that lump, that just found out they're going to start this journey. And they're like, Sarah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That
It's going to happen.
That is what gives me the strength. That is what gets me through it. And just knowing that it's for a greater purpose
It
and
is.
for a greater good.
It
and
is.
I can't control quite literally anything that's going on with me right now at all. I can't change it. I can't take
And
it
that's
away. I can
That's
control
huge.
my reaction and my attitude.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I have seen people get this diagnosis and it was just utter rebelling at it. Like it was a refusal, like, well, I'm just, no. And it's just this anger and they get lost in it. Just this bitter, angry, this is unfair. And they don't do as well. But then there's the other ones like you that say, this isn't beating me. I'm not going to allow it to take life away from me. Even right now, my life still goes on.
Yep.
We're still going to laugh. We're still going to do things. If I need to cry and get mad and chuck a few things, okay, that's what I'm going to do. But I'm not staying there.
Right.
And that's why I know you're going to do beautifully. I know you are.
Thank you.
I know you are.
Well, thank you for joining us. We will keep you updated. I'm going to have lots of little snippets and videos and just follow along in the journey. And if somebody else is going through this, let's do it together. Let's journey through this together.
Build a
And-
community.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for watching, and we will be back soon. Bye.